What's the latest on T.Y. Hilton's injury? Can the Bengals receiving corps create some good numbers against the Raiders? And we play a Yaman or 9 with the Nick Foles-led Eagles. Plus, the Week 14 leader in the 2018 FFPC Varsity number 2 League, Larry Weinhauer, sits in on the show tonight to talk about pairing quarterbacks and receivers in the main event, what he expects to see from Adam Humphries against the Ravens, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks so much, Rob. Greetings and salutations, each and every one of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave the Dizzle Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, who's the biggest beneficiary from another Odell Beckham absence, whether Elijah McGuire is a viable flex in Week 15, and Varsity number 2 leader Larry Weinhauer joins us to discuss Michael Gallup, Evan Engram, and much more, all tonight on the HSFF Hour. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. Twitter is where to find us at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. Facebook is where to find us, facebook.com/HSFF Hour. Your phone is where to find us, 346-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. Email is where you can find us as well, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Our producer and mutual friend Rob, our audio engineer Bryce will do their best to get to all of those questions, tweets, emails, and more coming up in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Dave, we missed you last week. We had a good show. Danny Gibson did a great job filling in, but your presence was missed. How was the week off?
That was great. I'm recharged and ready to rock and roll bulky as we enter the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, that's good. Can you check to see if your mic is on right now? I'm not hearing you.
You don't hear me?
Flip the switch on. Can you flip it up?
Up or down?
Hey, nice. There you go.
Oh, great.
Perfect.
I'm just as good as I was a few minutes ago.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's good to hear. I'm thrilled to hear that. I apologize as Bryce and I dropped the ball on the audio engineering part of the podcast there, not having your mic on. But that's good. I'm glad you refreshed the batteries, recharged them. And one of the big things that we have coming up that you are recharging those batteries for is the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge. It is, of course, live. You can register now, myffpc.com. A $200,000 grand prize. A $750,000 prize pool, just $200 for an entry. This is capped at 4,250 teams. 10-player lineup, 1 player per team in the playoffs, less than a month to register at myffpc.com. Get on over to myffpc.com and get yourself a playoff entry or 2 or more, whatever you want to do. New high-stakes lowdown this week with Mike Foresta, who is not only contending for the FFPC main event title, but the Football Guys Players Championship as well. Great stuff from him, including interesting NFC South sleeper receiver that he said he's going to have going in a lot of his lineups in the championship round this week. So interesting stuff from him there. rotoviz.com/podcast is where you can check that out as well. We need to get into tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to bring him on right now. He started playing fantasy football in local leagues all the way back in 1987 when I was just 8 years old and Dave was a youthful 43. He moved to high-stakes leagues in the early 2000s.
That isn't funny.
When he entered the Roto Bowl in Atlantic City, winning his league and finishing well in the overall tournament. He then played in the WCOF for a number of years, signed up for the FFPC in 2010, and has played here ever since. Finished 8th overall, Dave, in the main event in the 2013 season. Has finished in the top 4 each of the last 4 years in varsity, and he is leading that league right now, along with having another team in contention in the FFPC main event championship round. Please welcome into the show Mr. Larry Weinhauer. Larry, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing this evening?
We're doing good.
Why does Larry's voice sound better than ours?
Well, listen, the guests always do, and I got to tell you this right now, Dave. Not only does his voice sound better, the stuff the knowledge that he is going to share, going to be way better than the knowledge that you and I share on the show tonight.
Well, we'll see about that.
Larry, when you are not playing fantasy football and doing so well in the varsity in the main event, tell the listeners what you're doing for a living.
Well, I own a sports bar and restaurant in Wellsville, New York, Better Day Sports Bar. So certainly have to make time for the fantasy football and these wonderful contests, but that certainly occupies a lot of my time when I'm not doing that.
Do a lot of your patrons know the high stakes fantasy football that you're into? That they ask for updates, or you're sharing stories with them from week to week?
Quite a few of them do, actually. We have the Sunday ticket, or DirecTV Sunday ticket, so we've got quite a crew in there on Sundays, and I always have my laptop out and looking at checking all the lineups and scores and whatnot, and people are interested. So yeah, there's a little bit of a buzz about it.
Yeah, that's very cool. That would be a fun place to watch games when everybody knows what you have on the line. So like when you win varsity, is it just like, all right, shots all around, just banked another $20K in the FFPC varsity?
Well, I'm sure that if I'm fortunate enough to have that happen, I'm sure that will probably be a topic that will come up for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dave? Well, Larry, when someone wins the main event, generally, well, depending upon what condition I'm in, we generally will try and call them on Monday night. So, like, if you're winning the main event, will you just be totally sloshed and, like, slurring and unable to talk? Or do you actually, keep your wits about yourself instead of shaking for shots all night long at your bar?
Well, I try to keep my wits about myself most of the time, but if I were to be in that situation, then things might be a little bit blurrier. That's for sure.
We should tape that conversation.
Oh, that would be epic. That would be absolutely epic.
All right, so I guess we have a question here finally for you. So congrats on your main event league title. You have Saquon Barkley. He had a huge impact on what happened. So let us know what pick position you had, and what other people were you looking at, or what other players were you looking at in that part of the first round?
Well, I had the 9th pick, and actually I was thrilled to have Barkley drop to me at that point. I mean, I think he's just tremendous, as he's obviously proven this year. I actually had him ranked in the top 6. So I was looking at probably taking one of the top receivers at that point, planning on the running backs being gone. But when Barkley dropped to me at 9, that was definitely a no-brainer. I loved his combination of speed and power and his pass-catching ability. And, with a rookie, it's always hard to tell, but I was pretty confident that what he accomplished at Penn State would certainly translate into the NFL as well.
Yeah, Larry, let me ask you something. Is the part of New York that you're in, and I'm not familiar, obviously, I'm in Northeast Wisconsin. I don't even know Southeast Wisconsin. I'm curious to ask, is it Giants country there? Is it Jets? Is it Bills? Is it kind of a hodgepodge, or who's your team, and what do most people up there root for there?
Well, I'm in Western New York, probably about 2 hours directly south of Buffalo. We're only about 10 miles north of the Pennsylvania border, so it's definitely Bills country. And I try to root along with the Bills as well, but I am a Dallas Cowboys fan for ages and ages, and that just I don't see changing.
Well, and so that's interesting because you go by, or a lot of your teams have always been Troy's boys, and I assume that's an ode to Troy Aikman.
Yes, it is. It is, and okay. I've had a lot of comments on that actually, and people have thought my name's Troy and whatnot. And actually, back in those leagues, the local leagues that you mentioned way back when, a couple of years ago, anyways. You had to have a team name, and I went into this draft just kind of new to this, and obviously being a Cowboys fan, and they said, well, what do you want your team name to be? And Troy's Boys. I had a bunch of Cowboys on the team then when they were doing well, and sounded kind of catchy, so I went with that, and I've used it ever since.
Yeah, for like many years, and I don't know why. I knew who you were, and I knew your name, but somehow I always had it in the back of my mind. Oh yeah, that's Troy. He's a Cowboys fan. He lives in Texas. Not, totally not realizing. No, his name's Larry. It's not Troy, and he lives in New York, not Texas. I never put two and two together. But okay, good to clear that up for sure. Okay, so shifting it back to Northeast Wisconsin here, you have on this main event league championship team that you have both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams on. I'm just curious, was that pairing intentional, knowing that when you get to these national contests like the main event, you obviously want to maximize your spike potential, as it were, when you get to the championship round, and obviously pairing an elite quarterback and an elite receiver will help your ability to do that. So I'm curious, was that intentional in the main event? Is that something that you normally like to do in these national contests where you have to beat out so many other teams?
Right. Well, it definitely can be an advantage. This year, it definitely was the plan. I had that strategy going in pre-draft. I was very high on Davante Adams. I just thought he was going to have a tremendous year. I feel he's very talented. So my plan was to take him in the early part of that second round, regardless, hoping that he fell that far. And if I did get him certainly looking at Aaron Rodgers, it certainly was beneficial for me in this case. I won't always try to pair quarterback and receiver. I think if you have a top receiver like that, obviously in an elite quarterback like Rodgers, I think it does pay to have them hooked up. But there's very few that I would really probably try to do that with. Hopkins and Watson in Houston, I think, is a good example. So when I got Adams in the second round, I definitely started looking to try to pair Rodgers up with him a little bit later. I believe I got him in the late fifth, which I think is a reasonable spot for quarterback. But usually I try to take quarterbacks a little bit later. So if I didn't have Adams, I probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on Rodgers in the fifth. But, to get them together and have that high point potential certainly was appealing.
Well, I agree with that. And, speaking of elite quarterbacks, you have Jeff Driscoll throwing to two of your receivers here, Tyler Boyd and John Ross.
That's a killer segue right there.
Starting in your lineup this week. Jeff actually looks all right, though. So, tell us a little bit about Boyd and Ross this week. And who do they play, Bob?
Cincinnati is taking on the Oakland Raiders at home in the Emerald City.
The Raiders. That should be an easy 34 points. So go ahead.
Well, that is still a work in progress. I've been playing Boyd all along. I think he's had a great year. I've been hurt by the injury to James Conner. That took a chunk out of my team. In addition to that, John Brown was having a solid year for me. I was playing him in my flex spot, but he's kind of become basically unusable with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. So, I've kind of been at that. Since Connor got hurt, I've been trying to play a few different people based on their matchups. I had Bruce Ellington, who's out this week. And before I knew that, looking at Ross and Jalen Richard is another one. Ellington, I think, is a nice player, but there's not a lot of huge upside with him. He's more of a slot receiver catching, a lot of balls. I think he had like 6 catches 3 weeks in a row or something like that. Richard can be a nice player depending on game script. If they get way down, he's in there catching a lot of dump-off balls. So I've kind of been playing matchups. Unfortunately, my first week in this big tournament, I had one of my lower weeks for the year. So I'm trying to kind of play catch-up, so I'm looking for that high ceiling. Looking at all these guys with Ross. He certainly hasn't been setting the world on fire, but he has caught touchdowns in 4 of his last 5 starts. I think he has a good matchup with the Raiders at home. Oakland's given up 31 touchdown passes, so I'm hoping for the big hit there. And again, I'm not positive I'm going to leave him in, but I always go through and kind of set things how I feel like I'm going to play him at the beginning of the week and then change them based on injuries or, gut feelings or whatever. And so right now that's where I'm leaning. Not overly thrilled about 2 Bengals receivers both in my starting lineup, but I guess if there's a week to do it, I feel like this would be the week.
I had to tell you, I don't think Jeff Driscoll is too thrilled with John Ross and Tyler Boyd either. Maybe Boyd. That'd probably be it. Dave, go ahead.
Well, it looks like Bruce Ellington is going to be out, but Connor kind of practiced, and he's questionable now.
He missed practice Wednesday. He missed practice yesterday. He got into a limited practice today. He's officially being listed as questionable, Dave, but here's the problem. That Steelers-Patriots game, that is a late game. That's a 4:25 kickoff on Sunday, and obviously the Bengals play at noon. So, Larry, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. Is there anybody else that you could play if Connor is indeed inactive, if you don't play Ross this week? Is there anybody else that you could plug in late? Because it sounds like Connor might be able to give it a go.
Well, and that's what I've got to look at that a little bit closer, to be honest with you. I've got Connor in the varsity as well, and I've been looking at that one. That's the one that's freshest out of my mind right now. And
right.
I was looking at that, and I'm probably going to be stuck because Humphreys plays at 1. All my other people that I would substitute out are 1 o'clock games. So I'm probably going to have to sit Connor regardless in the varsity, and I will have to look around. To be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to look that closely in the main event.
And Larry, I'll tell you, it's obviously a bizarre week because it's week 15. We have 2 Saturday games this week, and we still have the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, but it's kind of weird how it worked out. I'm counting 1, 2, and this is from NFL.com, so I'm assuming this is accurate. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Only 2 games in the 4 o'clock spot. The Seahawks going to San Francisco, and then obviously New England at Pittsburgh. So there's not a whole lot of options there. It's kind of weird that the NFL would divide it up like that, but they have.
That's weird. So actually, really most of this will be sewed up by that late game. Sorry to interrupt you, Larry, but there'll only be 4 games left after the early games.
That is correct. Yep. Yeah, you'll have the 2 late games and then the Sunday night and the Monday night game. So it's interesting. It'll be something to be paying attention to. For sure. We're talking with Larry Weinhauer, who is, of course, leading the varsity number 2 in the FFPC heading into Week 15, also has an FFPC team in the main event championship round that is contending as well. Let's talk about the varsity league because you obviously have a healthy lead in there right now. You've utilized several big weeks from the Seattle running back, Chris Carson. The backfield was sort of muddled, I guess you can say, at draft time. Not only Carson, but you have Rashad Penny. There is still talk about McKissick and C.J. Procyse in there catching passes. What made Carson stand out to you as a guy who really could be a difference maker in your backfield there?
Well, Carson has been huge for me this year. Actually, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't playing him a lot because I had Todd Gurley and James Conner, and I had 4 pretty solid receivers. I was playing both my flex positions as a receiver. I would kind of mix him in if he had a real good matchup and one of the receivers didn't. But so he has been helpful, and I'm really counting on him now with Conner being down. But I really liked Carson last year. I thought he was running very strong until he broke his leg. And then again, all the reports were he was coming out pretty healthy. I thought he looked real good in the preseason again. And I know everyone was on Rashad Penny, the new flash that's on the team. But I guess I wasn't totally sold on all the hype, even though, Penny's obviously very talented. But Carson, I liked the way he ran, and where I got him at the end of the 6th round, he was still there. I thought he was definitely worth a shot.
Dave Carson's another guy I like this week. I'm playing him in all my leagues that I have him in. Seattle is going to San Francisco. However, the Seahawks are a 4-point favorite, and Rashad Penny's already been declared out. It could be a boffo week for Chris Carson, so get him in your lineups for sure. A guy that I'm kind of on the fence about going forward. I own him in a couple of spots. He's starting in a couple of my flexes. Not starting in a couple of my flexes. It's Adam Humphries.
Yes, you got him flexed out in a tough matchup in Baltimore, Larry. Are you simply hoping for the best? Do you think Humphries is a sneaky play this week?
Well, that's one I'm actually still deciding on a little bit. At the end of the tournaments here, it's tough when you've got these, some people banged up a little bit. This is definitely a tough matchup for him. Humphries has had a great second half of the season. Last week he did only have 4 catches against a tough New Orleans defense, but he was still targeted 8 times. So, I feel like they're trying to get the ball to him still. I'm definitely concerned with Baltimore's defense in Baltimore. They're very solid, but I do feel that Tampa Bay is probably going to be behind. They're probably going to have to throw. and it seems to me that Baltimore's a little more susceptible to pass catchers coming out of the slot as opposed to the outside receivers. So hopefully they're having to throw, and he can find some space in there and get some catches, and hopefully in the end zone.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not as concerned with Humphreys this week. I am very concerned, Dave. I do the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show from 5 to 6 on AM 1570 and FM 95.3 99.1 The Score in Oshkosh and Appleton. And I got to tell you that my bust of the week, my House of Flooring bust of the week. Get on over to see Tom Globe for all his for all your flooring needs. He'll carpet. He'll do the carpet. He'll do the hardwood. He'll do whatever.
I'm sure Larry will be right out.
My House of Flooring bust of the week was Mike Evans this week. I think Jimmy Smith could lock him down. I'm not too concerned about Adam Humphreys. I don't think he's going to have a massive week by any means, but I think he's a pretty good, not necessarily a safe bet for double-digit points, but I bet he gets there. If I was to set the over-under on what he does, it's probably like 10.5, 11 points. Sure. I could definitely see him going higher than that, especially if he gets in the end zone. So I think Humphreys is definitely an interesting guy as we look forward to that Baltimore game where, Larry, I think you're right. Jameis Winston is going to be slinging the rock quite a bit to keep up with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in that game. You have drafted in the main event, Larry. You have drafted in Varsity. This Varsity number 2, I think, is always interesting because it's typically one of the last drafts we have of the entire season. It's one of the last drafts we have on the at the live events weekend. So everybody kind of knows what everybody's doing. There's no sleepers left anymore. And typically the guys that you are drafting against already have drafted in the main events as well. Dave, go ahead.
Well,
right.
You also have the hotel staff. They're vacuuming and they're they're busting the tables and clanking glasses, making all sorts of noise. So it's distracting.
They're already setting up for the software conference that's coming in the following day.
That's right.
So it's insane. So I'm just kind of curious when you're drafting your main event team versus when you're drafting against these other very 11 savvy owners in Varsity. How does your strategy change at all? Is there any, are you willing to go even higher on guys you like, maybe a round or two higher on guys you like? Are you trying to build the team any differently? Or is the strategy, the draft approach, basically the same with just a couple of subtle differences between the main event and Varsity?
I would say I definitely don't change my strategy between the two leagues. They are the same scoring format, which I think is most important. And the Varsity League is tough. Not that the main events aren't, but those guys are all good. And one thing I have learned, if there's someone you really like, you need to be ready to take them a half round or a round earlier if you really want to get them on your team. So maybe in that regard, but for the most part, I really don't change my philosophy. My strategy kind of changes based on my draft position to a degree. But I still feel that I'm looking for the best value with each pick. Sometimes I'll let a position influence my decision if I feel I'm weak in a certain area. But for the most part, I'm looking for value. One of the things about the FFPC, I love the dual flex format, and I think with that dual flex format, when you can plug any position basically into those other two slots, I think that really supports that strategy, and you really can draft for value.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
If you're saying you like our format, I can't.
That's music to Dave's ears, no question.
Absolutely.
All right, so
absolutely love it.
Here's a wide receiver question for you. If you had to choose one, what is it? Did you sneak in your own lineup question here, Volky?
I am not making this decision in any of my, despite owning these guys in a good number of leagues this year.
You do, right?
I don't think I own them on any teams where they're either both starting or they're both benched or what have you.
Maybe Bryce snuck this in.
You never know.
Choose one this week. Are you starting Allen Robinson at home against the Green Bay Packers or Corey Davis on the road taking on the New York Giants?
That is a tough one. I think I'm leaning Davis. I think Chicago spreads the ball around a little more. So that, there's some more options there where Davis is more the main weapon in Tennessee. Davis had a tough matchup last week against Jacksonville's corners, not to mention how Derrick Henry ran the ball, and they didn't really need him. But Tennessee has a lot to play for. I think he'll be back on his game this week, and I think between the two, I would take Davis, although everything I'm seeing looks like Robinson's hip is going to be okay. I believe he practiced today in full, and if that's the case, I could see him having a nice day against Green Bay secondary for sure. But I think with the Chicago spreading the ball like they do, and Davis being more the main receiver there, I think I'd go there.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing it. I mean, the total on the Titans game, 43.5. The total on the Bears game, 44.5. Bears are 5.5-point favorites. Tennessee is a 1.5 favorites. I don't think there's a ton to glean there. I think you hit the nail on the head. The difference to me is Robinson's target share is going to be much, much lower than Corey Davis. I can't see Derrick Henry having even a shadow of doing what he did in Week 14, coming anywhere close to it in Week 15. And I think Davis is a nice bounce back guy this week. I think I would lean towards Davis as well. Dave, you probably do not own either of these guys in any league, I would imagine. Do you own any shares of Robinson or Davis this year?
Oh, yeah, I own some Robinson in Dynasty.
Do you have any preference between these two guys this week, Robinson at home against the Packers or Davis on the road against the Giants? Do you know which way you would lean in this?
I probably would actually.
It's very close. It's not an easy question.
I'd probably look at Allen Robinson a little.
Okay, all right. But it's very close again for you. This is not.
It kind of is.
All right, fair enough. Let's get to a couple emails here for you, Larry, that came in. First one's Will in Rockville, Connecticut. Excuse me. Hey, Larry, is there any hope for Michael Gallup to be fantasy worthy for the remainder of the season or in 2019? Or is Amari Cooper just going to beast out for the foreseeable future? Thanks, man, and thank you for the email, Will in Rockville, Connecticut. Gallup was a guy that I think had some preseason shine on him, given the lack of any proven pass catchers in Dallas this year. And obviously what Amari Cooper has been doing for the Cowboys since they've acquired him has been nothing short of stunning. But Michael Gallup going forward, is he an afterthought? Is there still something there? How do you read him as far as this Cowboys passing game goes, Larry?
I think there's definitely something there for him. I mean, I don't think he's going to put up huge numbers. He may have those occasional games. But I actually like his situation. Coming in as a rookie, they really didn't have a lot of strong receivers, and I think he was getting a lot of attention as he was trying to get acclimated to the pro game. Now that Cooper's there, I think he's taken a lot of pressure off. Gallup's more of a secondary guy now, and with his speed, I think he's going to see a lot of one-on-one, and I think he does have some value.
I own him in a couple of dynasty spots, Dave. Nothing pleases me more than having the heart of the pulse of the Cowboys here on the air, telling me that there's still someone Michael Gallup. So I like to hear that. Yep. Let's go to Lakeland, Florida. It's Mike. What's up, Troy's boys? Do you see Evan Engram closer to the type of player we saw last year or this season when it comes to drafting him in 2019? Thanks for the email, Mike in Lakeland, Florida. Evan Engram is sort of been a Jekyll and Hyde type guy. We saw the upside last year. We're seeing the downside this year. I would imagine that the true value lies somewhere in the middle. But what's it closer to? Is it closer to what we saw last season, or is it closer to what we're seeing this year, Larry? What's your read on Evan Engram?
I would agree. I think it's probably somewhere in between. I do think he's been banged up a little bit this year. I think Eli's had his struggles. I think probably a combination of those two factors have downgraded him a bit this year, but I still think he's a talent. I think I would, for next year, I would lean a little bit closer to last year than this year, but I do feel that it's somewhere in between.
Dave, final question for Larry before we cut him loose. Back to the fun, the drinks, the appetizers, the specials of the.
He's not at work right now, I don't think.
Probably not. I'm just saying.
Quite sober.
If I had no sports bar, I just want to be hanging out there on a Friday night and partying it up.
Yeah, if you own a sports bar, it doesn't mean you're all of a sudden an alcoholic or anything.
No, that's just everybody in Northeast Wisconsin. That's
right.
That's how that works.
Well, everybody in Northeast Wisconsin that is an alcoholic, the difference is they think they can own a sports bar. Like, we should open a bar.
I hope
you're just drunk.
Yeah, I hope none of my.
Just you're drunk doesn't mean you can run a business.
I hope none of my sponsors are listening to this right now. No.
Sponsors mean like AA?
Yeah, no. Come on. Right. The question, please.
Right, sorry.
Save us.
So Larry, give us the guy that a lot of high stakes players will be starting this week, because you'll probably not be in their lineups, and then also we want a sleeper player that deserves to be in lineups this week.
Okay, well, I think a player that should not be in lineups that probably will be, the first guy that comes to mind for me is Aaron Jones. I think he's had a nice second half when he finally started to get some carries. Not sure why that took so long. I think he was clearly the best running back on that team. But, he's been strong. He runs hard. But being a Todd Gurley owner and seeing what happened last week, I don't have to look any farther than that last game. I do think Chicago's defense is crazy good. I don't see Aaron Jones really having any running room this week. That probably translates to a degree to Aaron Rodgers as well. You never know what's going to happen in these divisional games. They see each other twice a year. They know each other so well, but I think Chicago's got at least in any recent history, has kind of been the little brother to Green Bay for quite some time, and I think they've got a score to settle. I think they're looking forward to the Pack coming into town, and I think that defense is awful tough. Those guys will probably be in lineups. I actually benched Aaron Rodgers for Phillip Rivers in my main event league this week.
No, that worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
24?
Rivers?
Yeah, Rivers 23.95.
I didn't think it was that high. I thought it was like 18 or 19.
Yeah, you got those late scores.
Yeah, he was in the low 20s.
23.95 is my guess.
Okay, there you go. All right. Well, listen, I played him in. You know what? I played him in a couple leagues. I should know this.
I'm a little autistic. I think 23.95 is what I remember.
You can't be a little autistic. You can
Right.
you can have autism.
Artistic.
Oh, I thought you said autistic.
Actually, I did, but don't worry about
Oh, all right. Larry, listen, I'm with you on Aaron Jones for sure. I don't think I have it in me to bench him in any of the leagues. I have him going in still, but I definitely have lowered expectations, and I'm looking for other running back options, and maybe I can just count on Jones as a flex. What about a sleeper? What about a guy that a lot of people will not have in their lineups that you think might have a pretty big Week 15?
Well, I've got one that I actually kind of contradicts my play of the Cincinnati wide receivers, but I think Doug Martin could have a big day in Cincinnati. The Raiders seem to be playing a little bit better. As I mentioned before, their backfield, the Raiders' backfield, is so based on game script. But I think I can see Oakland hanging around in this game. And, I think Gruden wants to run the ball, and I can see Martin having a pretty decent day. I think Cincinnati's 32nd or 31st against the run, and I can see Doug Martin having a big day there. Another one that I actually was looking at is Tevin. I could see Tevin Coleman having a decent week this week as well. I know he's been in quite a timeshare with Ito Smith, but Smith is banged up a little bit. It looks like he still might play, but he may be limited. Against that Arizona run defense at home for Atlanta, I think Coleman could bounce back and have a good week too. So those, I would say Doug Martin would be my first choice, and possibly Tevin Coleman.
What do you think about that? Doug Martin, Tevin Coleman? You on board?
Both sound good to me.
I could see it happening for sure. Again, not guys that are slam dunk starters, but definitely guys that you should be looking at. And honestly, I'll tell you, I think I have Coleman in a couple of lineups right now. As well. Larry, listen, this has been fun. We certainly enjoyed you dropping by the HSFF Hour this week. Good luck in Varsity. I know that you have what it takes to bring that home with 2 weeks left. You have a good lead in there, and you put together a very talented team. Same thing with main event. Who knows what can happen? I know you are hoping that better things are in store Week 15, Week 16, and certainly you have a couple of weeks to make up some ground to get near the top of the leaderboard there. I'll be rooting for you, and I definitely would like to talk to you again at some point. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks again so much for being our guest tonight.
Oh, thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
That is Larry Weinhauer, ladies and gentlemen, the leader in the Varsity #2 competition in the FFPC main event championship round as well. Definitely, I think he's like, I want to say coming into last week, he was like top 40, somewhere around there, top 50. And he alluded to like, my week 14 wasn't my best, but it can change on a dime. Look at you. Let's talk about Kentucky. You moving up last night as the lone, and I talked to Commissioner Farrell Elliott today, the lone team in the FFPC championship, in the KFFSC championship round, to start one Damian Williams was Dave Gerzak, and you are sitting in 8th place overall now.
Yep, I'm sure. Hopefully I'll get up there to even close to the top, so I can screw up in the last decision in Week 16 and blow it all.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you can screw that up, and I'm going to tell you why.
The team just isn't that
If
good.
it comes down to it, Dave, and you need to know who to flex out.
Oh, I know who to ask.
You know who to ask, and it's not a decision. You dial up @2Packer on Twitter. You say, here are my choices, you pick, and it's totally on you. I am not putting any ounce of thought into this.
Yep.
You make the call and go with God.
The good news is I don't have Kenny Galladay, so Meyer says next year is Kenny Galladay's year, so I don't have to.
Oh, really? Is that the?
That's been one of his running things.
But okay.
By the way, 25.6 is the real score for Rivers.
You know what? You know why I thought it was in the low teens. I had him going in the Scott Fishbowl Division Championship. And
they're scoring it about
it's different. I'm not going to say it's whack, but it's different. And it was like he had like 18 or 19 in that league, and I thought it was similar, but it's not. So that's why I thought that. Kenny Galladay, don't you think he's going to be a riser though next year? I feel like he's going to go to because I feel like
said next year is his year. That's what Meyer said.
Yeah, but I feel like everybody's going to have that opinion. And he's going to go insanely high.
I'm sure he will. I probably won't own him.
Yeah, I probably won't own him either. It gets to be a little bit out of control.
I thought he was overrated this year. I mean, look at what he did. He had a couple of good games.
No, you're probably right. My concern with him this year, not necessarily was his talent, but he was number 3 in the targets between Jones and Tate.
Yeah, I mean, Jones was not a player to take. Tate was one I think we advocated for a bit, but then he gets traded.
Right.
By the way, I don't think Stafford is just not that great. He's not doing well, and they're struggling overall.
You know who the best player probably was from a fantasy perspective on that Detroit team?
Ebron, who went to the Colts.
No, that's funny, but no, seriously. Who was the one guy that you like to own him while he was healthy and start him?
Yeah, Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, that was the guy I think, and that's a guy that I probably he'll probably ascend next year, and I won't get him in a lot of spots, but he was great, especially if he went 0 RB this year.
That same team, by the way, I started Damian Williams over Theo Riddick, and now I still have Riddick as an option with Chris Carson. And I think I'm starting Carson right now, but like my concern is Carson is still touchdown dependent, but they are 4 points.
He's not that touchdown dependent. I mean, he really isn't.
He doesn't score more than 15 points a game, and usually when he does, he gets a touchdown.
I'm gonna look this up.
You own a lot of Chris Carson?
I do.
All right, so do I. It seems like when he scores like 12 or 13 and doesn't score, then he actually gets 2 or 3 catches. But he doesn't have like 25-point weeks generally speaking. He gets I think it's 13-point weeks.
Right. Okay. So I just have this up on NFL.com right now. So this is not going to give me true fantasy points. Son of a gun. This is.
I can pull it up if you want to talk about whatever you got to talk about.
I have it. It's just I need to zoom this in. This is so annoying. God. All right, you pull it up because this is really awful. I mean I alluded to this a little bit when we were talking to Larry. I really like Chris Carson this week. Kurt Awe and I we hold roughly about 102-point lead in our Kentucky auction.
That's nice.
We're deploying him as our flex. I feel great about it. I can't remember if it's break time Balky or oh my goodness in the Kentucky main event. One of those teams has him as their flex there. I feel great about it. I mean, I honestly think he was actually, I'll tell you this, Dave, to bring it back to the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show, my Schmitty's Tickets Sleeper of the Week was, in fact, Chris Carson. By the way, call Schmitty's Tickets if you have any tickets. Okay. But go ahead. Do you have the Carson?
Yeah, I have his numbers.
Okay.
So in his last 4 weeks.
All right.
His range in fantasy points is between 13.8 and 15.0.
Okay. So he's like peak Frank Gore. Is what you're talking about.
He has scored touchdowns in 3 of those 4 games.
All right, okay,
so
maybe.
But I mean, granted, it's just a sweet. And then the other game he didn't do it. He had 3 catches for 39 yards.
But you're right. I mean,
the point is though he is getting it done.
Yeah.
And they really
no Rashad Penny this week, by the way.
That's actually a very good point. And and they were 4-point favorite. You mentioned it. And when they're inside the 4-yard line, every once in a while Wilson will do his little fake and then runs in and scores a touchdown. But usually they just pound until Carson scores.
Yeah.
So they really do try and get him at least. I feel like the offensive coordinator just owns him and wants to get him a touchdown a game.
Well, that and the fact they don't want to Ricardo Lockett the situation again, like in the Super Bowl. That there's something to be said to that.
That's a great point, actually.
Let's move on, Dave, and get to the fantasy flash. Thanks to Football Guys, Roto World, Roto Pass, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Leading things off is the wrong sheet I have in front of you. This segment brought to you by the wrong sheet. Hey, why don't you put your pages in order, Balky? This is the wrong sheet. Austin Hooper. Knee problem, ankle problem. Apparently he is going to play in Week 15 against Arizona. This according to D. Orlando Ledbetter on Twitter. He returned to practice today in a limited fashion and was removed from the injury report. Not even listed on there. He's getting the same amount of snaps on the field over the last few weeks, but over his last 4 games, Dave, from a fantasy standpoint, 18 catches, 139 yards, and just 1 score.
That's not the worst for tight end.
Yeah, I know, and I bring this up because you don't feel great about using Hooper, but tight end premium format, if you're in a bind, you need to make up some points. Is this the type of guy that you want to deploy as maybe a second flex?
No, I mean, not as a second flex, no. I think you're then starting these wide receivers, even like a guy who actually kind of sucks, but like Sterling Shepard, who really does suck, but because Odell Beckham Jr. is out, he has more of an opportunity. You know, and that last time ODB was out, I think he scored a touchdown and had like 3 for 20 or a touchdown.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard, okay.
Yeah, he's really been terrible.
You don't like him.
I mean, I own him in spots, and that's why I don't like him, because I've started him.
Why do you own him?
Because I drafted him.
Like as a number 4, number 5 receiver or something like that?
I'd say number something receiver, yes.
Well, hopefully not 3.
Well, who gives a
Well, I'm
crap?
just telling you.
If I draft someone as a 3 and I pick up Tyler Boyd, oh wow, that's okay.
Now he's number 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
right,
not a big deal.
I wasn't sure.
I'm disappointed in Sterling Shepard.
As long as we're on the subject, and I don't think we have it. No, we do have the rest of the way, so I won't bring it up. I'll bring it up in a little bit. We'll get to Sterling Shepard in a second.
But the point is, back to as a second flex, I'd prefer to start somebody else. Like C.J. Uzomah, I'd actually rather start if I was starting on the tight end. You know, those are just examples.
Yes, I realize that. Do you? What about Ian Thomas?
Yeah, he's actually a pretty good start.
Would you rather play him over Austin Hooper? I'm gonna tell you what.
How many targets Thomas had?
I would. He caught. I believe he had 9 catches on 11 targets last week.
Yeah, I would. I mean, he's hot right now. Why not?
By the way, he was my Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show. Papa Murphy's pickup of the week, Ian Thomas.
Papa Murphy's is good.
We are hitting on the only thing we need to do.
You're getting a lot of ads.
The only one I haven't hit on is your Gusman go-to stud, which we might get into later on.
It made $4 the hard way.
What about Chris Herndon? I know you like Chris Herndon, tight end for the Jets.
I do not like him over Hooper.
Okay. But
I do like Herndon overall. I think Thomas, he's got, there's so many, you got McCaffrey's getting a bunch of catches.
Right.
DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. And so Thomas gets to be this forgotten guy. Now, granted, he is the 4th target in the scheme, but totally forgotten is Funchess. So Funchess is out, and Thomas is actually getting some looks too.
Austin Hooper or Jimmy Graham against the Bears. Do you have a preference there? Is it still Hooper? Do you still like Hooper better than Graham?
I'll
tell you this right now. I'd rather play Hooper over Graham.
Yeah, Graham is so terrible. Hit or miss. Okay, his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games.
Yeah. 5
of the 7, he's had 5.4 points or fewer in just PPR action. That's terrible.
Last one I'll bring up. Austin Hooper at home against the Cardinals or Kyle Rudolph also at home against the Dolphins.
I'll take Rudolph.
Okay, fair enough. T.Y. Hilton is questionable with an ankle injury
what a surprise.
For the Cowboys game this weekend, according to Kevin Bowen on Twitter. Hilton did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. And, guess what? Did not practice Friday. Frank Reich said the team is going to see how he responds over the next 24 hours, but basically he is a true game-time decision.
Out.
T.Y. Hilton, you believe, is out?
Yeah, if you don't practice at all, you almost never play.
Almost. Let me ask you this. If he is active, Dave, let's say you're probably planning for him not to be active at this point. That is a game at 1, I believe. Yes, that is a 1 o'clock game. He's active. Are you rolling him out there?
I'm trying not to.
I feel like we have another would you rather
the Cowboys
in us here.
Cowboys wide receiver defense is they're top 5, man. They're outstanding.
Yeah, they are good. T.Y. Hilton or Allen Robinson?
Robinson.
Got to go deeper. T.Y. Hilton or the new Eric Ebron, Cortland Sutton?
Oh, man, I got to start at Hilton then.
T.Y. Hilton.
Sutton's still a crappy rookie.
Let me ask you this. This is an interesting one. This is a guy that I was not on this year. I'm still not a believer in. T.Y. Hilton or Curtis Samuel against the Saints at home? At home, as in Carolina.
Yeah. I don't mind starting Samuel, but I think I would have to still start Hilton just because he's been doing it for so much longer. Samuel's still low with hit or miss.
Hilton or Kenny Galladay at the Bills?
Hilton.
Oh, you're going to say DJ Moore. Let's say.
I probably would say DJ Moore. Even though Samuel is producing similarly, but I feel like Moore is a more talented player and a little bit more guaranteed to get targets.
So you're going to say Moore.
And snaps. Yeah.
Right. Okay. T.Y. Hilton or my BFF Corey Davis.
I would start Corey Davis. I'd actually consider
interesting. Okay. All right. I think that's where we'll leave it on that one. There's not a whole lot of other fantasy analysis to glean. All right. Let's talk about this Buccaneers situation as far as the wideouts go. Deshaun Jackson officially ruled out today against the Ravens, according to Scott Smith on Twitter. He's still having this thumb issue. It's going to be Mike Evans. It's going to be Chris Godwin. It's going to be Adam Humphries in the 3 wide receiver sets when Tampa utilizes it. Baltimore may have the best secondary in the league. I'm curious, if you're playing Evans, Chris Godwin, I mean, is he a guy that you basically have to flex out if you get the chance, given his talent, given the fact that Winston's going to be throwing it a lot, even despite the Baltimore secondary?
Yeah, actually I would. I mean, Godwin had a god-awful week last week, 2.3 points, but he had 10 targets, he had 1 catch. Otherwise, he's averaging 11.6 points a game. So if you take that other game out, he's averaging probably 13 or 14, whatever. So, he's a pretty productive player. Without Deshaun Jackson, I think you got to roll him out there, even at Baltimore with their tough defense.
I could be wrong on this. I believe Adam Humphries went 4 for 40 last week. If you somehow had both of them, are you playing Godwin over Humphries?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Is it just the talent aspect, the fact that he's going to be playing on the outside, has a better shot at touchdowns, or what is it?
I think it's mostly talent. I mean, he did actually out-target, Humphries just by a couple targets, so that's it.
All right, I'm going to say this right now. I'm not willing to put 5 on it, but I do like Humphries better this week than Godwin.
Well, then your opinion doesn't mean much if you're not willing to bet it.
Would you bet it?
Sure, who cares?
All right, you know what? Screw you. I got Adam Humphries. More fantasy points in week 15.
I taunted you into a bet, baby. Yep. I'll take Chris Godwin for $5.
I got 5 on it. You lousy squeegee.
Oh, God.
You old shoehorn, Dave. All right, so I have Humphries. You have Godwin. Usually not a good bet to bet on the white receiver, but I'm going to do it in this situation. Odell Beckham, with his quad injury, was ruled out for the Titans game, according to Giants beat writer on Twitter, Jordan Renan. Actually, he's the beat writer everywhere, but this is where we got this report.
The Frenchman, Jordan Renan.
He's French?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of French.
Jordan Renan sounds French to you? Really?
It doesn't look French.
No, it doesn't sound French either.
Anyway, go ahead.
It's about as French as a French fry, I'll tell you that.
Jordan Renan!
All right, you sold me. Odell Beckham was limited in practice on Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. Pat Shurmur says that he's had no setbacks, but he just cannot go. So obviously this makes you feel a little bit better about Saquon Barkley because they utilized him heavily last week when they didn't have Beckham. Evan Engram probably gets an upgrade. He probably is more likely to be in your FFPC starting lineup than on your bench. The Titans have allowed the fewest fantasy points to opposing tight ends this year, Dave. So maybe this goes to the point you were making earlier. This could be a good Sterling Shepard week.
Yeah, I mean, last week, Odell Beckham missed. I mean, Shepard went off. Let's take a look at what he did.
All right, let's do it. Do you have it up?
Yeah, I do. 2 for 17 and a touchdown.
Woof.
Shepard is a piece of crap. He sucks. I mean, 2 for 17 and a touchdown when Beckham's not even playing? Actually, you know what? Manning is also a piece of crap. So they both are not very good players. They have a bad slot receiver, catching passes from a terrible aging quarterback that should be put out to pasture.
Okay.
And sent to the glue factory. That's it.
I'm going to switch to a non-fantasy discussion for the next 40 to 50 seconds.
All right.
Ask your expert opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
Is the starting quarterback week 1 for the New York Giants in 2019, is he on the roster right now?
For the starter, I don't even know who else they have, but I would guess him.
Kyle Lauletta is the backup. He's like a 4th or 5th round pick this year.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, they just got to draft somebody super early.
All right. Also, in your expert opinion, Dave, I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm an expert. Go ahead.
So Eli Manning, I'm assuming you're saying is not going to be a Giant next year, right?
That would be the argument.
Who do you think he is starting for next year? Because obviously,
no one.
Really, he's just signed as a backup.
Unless he retires or whatever. I mean, I really don't think he's starting for. Who wants him to start?
Can I throw you a team that is?
Please go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, when I say they've had quarterback issues, when I say that they've had a pretty good defense, they have a strong running game. They don't always make the best personnel decisions, and they're in the AFC, and they may or may not be in the South Division. Is there a possibility that Eli Manning could be the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2019?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you know, at that point, you get an open revolt of season ticket holders. To follow Bortles followed by Eli.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a narrative that's just a little bit too.
But I feel like if you're a Jaguar season ticket holder, you've already made your bet.
I guess so. I mean,
So
the water's bad in Florida, but it's not that bad.
Not bad enough to make the Eli for starting quarterback. Just as a stopgap.
Put some lemon in there.
Here's what you do. Who's the kid from Missouri? Drew Lock. So you take him in the first round. You get Eli for the stopgap, and then it's 2020 is the year of Lock. Lock it up in 2020, baby.
Yeah, it's been proven this year with a really solid quarterback class. A lot of times you should just, if you don't have a really terrible offensive line, I think you just roll those guys out there. You know, like, you roll the rookies out there, give them a shot. If you have a bad offensive line, they're getting chased around like crazy. Like, what was it, not Jalen Ramsey, but Patrick Ramsey.
Yeah.
From the Redskins. He got scared out of the league.
Yeah. Who was it? Was Spurrier was his coach, wasn't it?
Yeah, he
destroyed him.
He's running 7-step drops all the time with a dog crap offensive line.
You talk about talk about Mike Shanahan destroying Robert Griffin's career. I mean, it was way worse than Spurrier and Patrick Ramsey.
Right. Yeah, you should have sued him.
Well, yeah, I can't comment on that.
He's furious. He was terrible.
He was not a great coach in the NFL. Yeah, have you realized on that note, have you seen the fantasy numbers that Josh Allen has put up over the last 3 weeks?
Oh, he's crushing it because he rushes. And by the way, most of his rushes, I can't say all, are off of scrambles. They're not like Lamar Jackson, where they're really trying to run him. He's just out there just running around, and he's awesome at it.
Yeah, they
should do that. Have him run on purpose.
If you started Josh Allen over the last 3 weeks, I don't care who your other quarterback was, unless it was Mahomes, you're probably loving life.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to load this up right now. Because I got to believe he might be the second best quarterback over the last 3 weeks. I'm going to load it up.
By the way, and I don't even know if I didn't do this, but I forgot. In Carrington, Allen is available, and I have Rosen as a spare QB, and I only have $1 bidding left.
You can still get. Oh, yeah, you can still get him.
Yeah, but I'm in the playoffs, and I don't want. I didn't want to like risk my last kicker dollar.
Oh, you only have one kicker.
Yeah, I have $1 and I have one kicker, and I don't want to risk it on taking a backup quarterback and also my kicker gets hurt.
Yeah, that's an
Although
issue.
I might be losing to Meyer this week after I talk smack to him on Twitter, and then I have Keenan Allen go for 0 and Tyreek go for like 7 or whatever he went for.
All right, so I have it right here, Dave. Over the last 3 fantasy weeks, as far as players go, Josh Allen is the number 3 player.
Wow, that's great.
Now, I don't have FFPC scoring, and it's tight end nonsense. But I can tell you he is the number 3 player overall. He is the number 1 quarterback overall over the last 3 weeks. 27.9, 35, and 26.4. He is just behind. Can you guess the 2 players in front of him?
Okay, which position?
Number 1's a running back. Number 2's a wide receiver.
In the last 2 weeks?
In the last 3 weeks. Weeks 12, 13, and 14. This will be fun.
So running back and wide receiver.
Number 1 is a running back. I'll even do this. I'll tell you what they did. The running back went 46.7 in week 12.
Oh, McCaffrey.
That's correct.
Okay.
The number 2 player is a receiver. In week 12, he went for 38.
Amari Cooper.
There you go. I didn't even have to say all of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what he did last week, by the way?
Cooper?
Yeah.
49.
49.7.
49.7.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm actually in a Kentucky, just a redraft, like a satellite type league.
And you have both?
Well, I'll tell you that story in a second. I have Amari Cooper in that league, and I've been rolling him out there. And I didn't really think I had a shot. And Vince Staffolino, former guest of the show, is in first place, and I'm like 1.5 points behind him. And then third place is like 50 points behind us. So it's literally like a 2-team race.
Nice.
And the only reason I'm in it is because of Amari Cooper.
Wow.
Here's the awful thing. In one of the Kentucky I Want Vegas leagues, I missed the playoffs. Here's the thing. I had the third best. 6 teams make the playoffs. I had the third best record. I missed the playoffs because my team was so terrible.
Did you get the points in there?
It's best record points, points. And I was the 3rd lowest scoring team in the league.
Oh, so you're just trying to sneak in.
I had Prescott and Amari Cooper in that league.
Oh, man.
So I am just wasting
it
everybody.
Yeah.
And I just missed it by 1 game.
For naught.
It was all for naught, yeah. That is a great fantasy team name for me as well. All right, let's get to fantasy feedback here with just a few minutes left in the show. First email tonight is from Ross in Hilton Head, South Carolina. You ever vacation in Hilton Head, Dave?
I have. It's actually excellent. If they have, you can rent bikes and go down the beach. It's really a good time.
Did you what did you
really
do?
good restaurants. Too.
Did you rent just like a beach house or something, or what did you do?
Well, we rented I think it was I want to say a timeshare, and that wasn't the best idea necessarily.
Yeah.
But it was we had a view of the ocean, and it was great.
All right. Well, maybe next time you can reach out to Ross in Hilton Head and see if you can just bunk up with him.
Hilton Head's a good time. Sea Pines is the area you want to be in.
All right. I don't know if that's where he is.
They're all on plantations. The Sea Pines plantation. It's not the bad plant. Well, it used to be a bad plantation, but now it's okay.
Yeah, maybe Ross is in the projects of Hilton Head, South Carolina. You don't want to stay with him. I have no idea. He writes, just saw Kroll got placed on IR this morning. You guys cool with me flexing Elijah McGuire this week then? Appreciate you. That's Ross in Hilton Head,
really.
South Carolina. You're not cool with it.
I'd be cool if you flexed out somebody else, hopefully.
Elijah McGuire is going to be the lead back. I would imagine that Trenton Cannon is the guy who spells him. They host the Texans on Saturday. You do not like him. Do you like Doug Martin better than I'm assuming?
Honestly, not much. I mean, McGuire, it's still Doug Martin. He's still on the Raiders. I think McGuire's actually an all right start. He'll probably get you 10 to 12 to 14 points in that neighborhood is my guess, with a few catches here and there, and maybe a 50-50 shot at a touchdown.
Let me throw a couple other names at you here real quick. A guy that you were considering in your starting lineup in one of your leagues this week, Theo Riddick, is at the Bills. Would you rather play him over Elijah McGuire?
I would, and the reason I would is I feel safer. I think that either the Lions will be close or they'll be losing. I think Riddick's going to have a lot of targets. Bruce Ellington's going to miss.
Yep.
So I think that he's going to command a lot of those targets that Ellington would have gotten.
What about the Miami Miracle himself, Kenyon Drake, at Minnesota?
I'm not feeling Drake this week on the road at Minnesota. For some reason, he's also super hit or miss. He only gets like 7 or 8 carries a game because the coaches are idiots.
The forgotten man in the Titans backfield, Dion Lewis, at the Giants.
I think at that I would probably play Lewis over McGuire just because
I've been with you on all these so far, by the way.
Thank you. But I'm a little scared because I think Henry actually could go off again. What was the motivation? And this is a rumor I heard that they just told Henry to go and play to play like a badass or something, or
I did not hear this.
I mean, I don't understand how.
When they told him like, hey, listen, Derek, we know you've been mailing it in for 13 weeks. This week, I want you to try.
I almost feel like
I feel like it's that Jim Gaffigan stand-up where he's talking about why the college bowling teams need a coach. Like, what are you telling these guys? Like, all right, Johnson, this time go up there and try to knock all the pins down. You sure, coach? Just do it, son.
I feel like if Sandra Bullock pulled him by the helmet and went up to the coach and he said,
"Oh yeah,
pretend like he's part of your family."
Yeah.
To the coach and the team and everybody, protect those guys. I don't know. I mean,
can you believe Sandra Bullock won the Best Actress award at the Oscars for that movie?
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
For The Blind Side?
For The Blind Side, yeah.
Oh my God, I mean, her acting was so over the top and bogus.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
I also think that Denzel's acting in Training Day was terrible.
We've had this conversation before.
Not on the show, have we? I mean, because I just feel like...
I don't know about that.
Denzel's a great actor, and so then they have him act like ghetto black, and then they give him an award for that. I mean, give me a break.
I brought that up in some of my radio, TV, film classes at Oshkosh.
It's like, a guy's in Philadelphia, and he's like fantastic, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, what's up, dog? He says dog like 50 times, and all of a sudden best actor.
I
think that's like a makeup call. Kind of like
he was nominated for Roman J. Esquire and did not win for that. He's been nominated a lot of times and did not win.
That's a makeup call, just like the whole game last night was a big makeup call.
It was a big makeup call.
Yeah, there's all these bad calls, and then they just finally gave it to the Chargers.
Hold on. Let me ask you this. Did you think that last pass interference penalty when Mike Williams tried to one-hand that one in the end zone, do you think that was pass interference?
No, I
totally did. If I was that official, I would have totally thrown that flag.
Here's the thing: when they show the replay 5 times, they didn't show the whole play. They didn't show him push off, and then like the guy's hand was there. They just showed the last like mini clip.
Wait a minute. Who did you think it was pass interference on?
On Williams, he pushed off, and then like.
I thought it was pass interference on the Chiefs guy because he's pulling Williams' arm down.
The reason his arm was even connected was because he pushed off and he was trying to.
Listen. I saw all the angles.
But they only showed the last like 3 seconds of play. It was like So if they didn't show when he pushed off.
All I know is if Mike Williams pushes off, that does not cause that. Who is it? The guy they got from Washington.
By the way, the whole pass wasn't even catchable either. By the way.
Oh, dude, it's Mike Williams.
A 60-inch vertical.
Anything's catchable with Mike Williams. There was one other point I was going to make with the best actor thing, and I can't remember what it was now, but it's not important. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Gravity. Did you see Gravity?
Yeah, I did.
She was much better in that. I don't even know. She might have won it for that too. She might have won it twice now, but she was fantastic. The fact that she won the same award for those two movies is unbelievable to me. All right, let's move on.
If Meryl Streep doesn't win it, I guess they just give it to her.
Well, Meryl Streep just gets nominated every single year, and I think she wins it every 6 years, and that's sort of like.
Hey, what sucky movie that no one saw is Meryl Streep in this year?
Yeah.
This, by the way, this could be the other podcast we do. Just talking about random crap.
I don't. Well, I feel like this podcast is already we're talking about random crap.
Less 10 minutes.
All right, here's one. Dan in Oakland. Not sure it matters a ton, but it matters a little for my teams. Could you guys play a Yaman or 9 with Eagles, assuming Nick Foles plays Sunday? Do you assume Nick Foles is going to play Sunday?
Versus who?
Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Is Wentz not even listed as out yet? Fractured back?
Well, they're saying that he can play through it. It's a question of whether he can hurt it worse. And if it's just a pain thing, I think he'll be out there since they could still make the playoffs, which is unbelievable to me. But I'm assuming I am with you. You have a Super Bowl winning quarterback behind him. I would deploy Foles.
Wentz should just stay home and shave that stupid red mustache / beard off his face.
I don't think it's stupid.
It looks terrible on him.
You ready to do a Yaman or 9?
Yeah.
I am going to push the buttons, as Rob has already wheeled it in here, and you are going to give me. You are going to give me.
Traffic's getting a little rickety.
You are. Did you hear the squeaking? Needs a little WD-40.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you have a list of Eagles skill guys that you can give me, or just?
So I'm saying it to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, just do Josh Adams.
I always look at this like this is a test of who I know playing.
There you can look at it that way, but like Adams and Sproles in the backfield, I would imagine. Clement's on IR, so you don't do him. Jeffrey, Aguilar, Golden Tate, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. I think that pretty much covers it. And you can go in whatever order you please.
Goddard's the Nazi.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
It's actually how do you 9 the Nazi? Dallas Goedert, he's a German.
Is he a Nazi?
Yeah, Goddard, that's
he's
a
not
German
a Nazi.
Name.
All Germans are not Nazis.
Really?
That would make you and I Nazis.
His family's Nazi.
I don't. Why would you even? I don't even understand why you'd say something like that.
All right, probably not, but it's a very German name.
I guess I didn't realize, but okay.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, man.
All right, the buttons are not working very fast tonight, but okay, go ahead.
No, Nelson Aguilar.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
Just take the quarterback out of the equation. He's just been awful since they got Golden Tate.
Speaking of that, Golden.
Yeah, man.
Still seeing a lot of targets. I mean, I know he hasn't been lighting it up or whatever, but I'm still flexing him out even with Foles.
The ageless Darren Sproles.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
Gotta have better options than Darren Sproles. You just gotta.
Josh, I scored 3.8 points.
Yeah, man.
Listen, they might ride him hard.
You know where Josh Adams went to college?
Notre Dame.
No, he went to Adams College. The home of the Reds and Nerds, Adams College.
Are you serious?
No, he went to Notre Dame.
All right, I didn't know where you're going with that.
The Adams, ATOMS, Adams. All right, so Alshon Jeffries.
Yeah, man.
You know what's funny is Kurt and I have him on that auction team in Kentucky, and I think we've started him like twice this season. And I feel like I was trying to look for ways to get him in our lineup this week because I think that he will have a reawakening a little bit with Nick Foles. I can't find a way to do it.
We have one more player. Apparently his brother was on there's something about Mary was on the TV earlier. Chris Elliott. So it's his brother Jake Elliott, the kicker.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Field goal bonanza.
Very nice.
For Nick Foles. So there you go. Hopefully that helps
you
out.
What about Foles himself, the man named Foles?
In like an FFPC league?
Sure.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
Cannot pull the trigger on that, my friend. Cannot do it.
All right, fair enough.
Let's move on to the next email, which is from John in Milledgeville, Georgia. Dear Sean and Kyle, in a quandary this week after ODB got ruled out, who do I stick in, Josh Reynolds or Dante Pettis? Thanks, fellas. That's John in Milledgeville, Georgia. Dave, Dante Pettis is taking on the Seahawks at home. Josh Reynolds is also at home on Sunday Night Football against Nick Foles' Eagles.
I think I'm leaning Pettis myself.
I am too, and the only thing that gives me pause is he was actually added to the injury report with a foot injury, and I believe he was added on Thursday.
I might actually have to reconsider, to be honest.
I'm trying to get a read on this as far as what he did today. Pierre Garçon obviously out for the year. Marquise Goodwin may or may not play.
Partially practiced today.
So he had a limited practice. I mean, it's going to be George Kittle. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'll tell John in Milledgeville, Georgia. I am going to play Pettis. If he is inactive, you still have the option to play Reynolds on Sunday Night Football against that terrible Eagles secondary. I'm going to roll the dice with Pettis, and the only way I play Reynolds is if Pettis is listed as inactive, or if I hear some weird report that he might be a decoy or might not play a full complement of snaps, which I don't anticipate hearing anything like that, but if I do, then I will sit him if he's active. But that's the only way.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I mean, you could argue that the Rams are really going to come back after that awful performance against the Bears and just light it up.
No question they're going to light it up. I think Goff just shreds them. But how much of that goes to Reynolds when you have Woods and Cooks?
To be honest with you, I think Gurley has like a 3-touchdown day. I think it's going to be one of those days where, I mean, Goff could light it up, but I really feel like Gurley's going to score a bunch of touchdowns. No,
okay.
That could be situational. Who knows what happens?
Okay.
Still, Cooks is the main man, of course.
And what's the chances that Gurley struggle? Because I mean, the Eagles, say what you will with the Eagles defense, the rush defense has actually been pretty good. But what are the chances that Gurley struggles again 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's probably as the kids say. What are the chances? Slim and none, and Slim just left town.
That's great.
Yeah. I used that at work this week for the first time. So.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Not great. Let's move on.
2 in a row.
Final email tonight. Hey, Dave and Balky, you guys are my tiebreaker this week. Uzomah or Burton? Either you both have to agree or don't give me an answer. That's Josh in Millersport, Ohio.
So we have to confirm with each other first?
Yeah, because I think he's saying that we're already the tiebreaker and he doesn't want us to tie.
Okay.
On it, so we have to come to an agreement.
So that's actually a secret ballot with us, so with officials.
Well, we'll just say it at the count of 3 because that's better for radio. Don't write it down, okay? So C.J. Uzomah is at home against the Raiders. Trey Burton is at home against the Packers. All right?
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
So we'll say the guy's first and last name. All right?
Sure.
All right, count of 3. 1, 2, 3. C.J. Uzomah. There you go.
All right. Perfect.
All right, so Uzomah. I have to play Burton in a league this week, which is really unfortunate.
Remember when he was the hype guy?
Oh, yeah.
That was just weeks ago. That was only like 8 weeks ago.
I took him in the Carrington Dynasty rookie draft at like the 206, I want to say, and thought I was getting a steal on him. Like, oh, man, I got to flip him because I already had Greg Olsen and O.J. Howard. And I still may do that in the offseason, but the way that the Bears spread the ball around, I can't imagine.
He was, remember the whole, we should really just revisit this. He was the $30 million signing.
Right.
He never had a great NFL season, but oh my God, I mean, you can easily extrapolate that he's going to kill it. I mean, they're going to throw the ball like crazy.
That said, he's the tight end 6 this year.
No, it's not.
Nah, he probably isn't, but honestly, you had to think about it because given how bad tight ends have been this year, you're like, yeah, maybe he is the tight end.
He's the tight end 10.
Is that seriously what he is?
Yeah.
And that's Carrington scoring. That's not FFPC scoring, right?
Well, it's not that much different. Having said that, the last 4 weeks, he has combined for 12.9 fantasy points.
Out of how many weeks?
4.
Oh, that's really bad.
1.9, 6.8, a 0, and a 4.2. By the way, the 0 is a 0.00. As in he played, but didn't actually
do anything.
And a 4.2.
I wonder what the Packers have done as far as opposing tight ends this year. What they've given up, because this could be a get right game for Trey Burton. That said, I am looking elsewhere.
Yeah, when you lose Trubisky, that did make a big difference. He's been out a lot of those games.
It's not like Chase Daniel was incompetent. I mean, he was all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's true. You're right. I don't disagree with you.
All right.
Trubisky's mustache looks better than Wentz's beard mustache.
I don't understand the Carson Wentz facial hair hate.
I was just
from you
noticing it the
tonight.
other day. It's like you're light skinned and you have red hair, but your like his regular hair isn't all that super red, but your facial hair is red. I mean, what do you want to look like, a dumb lumberjack? I just like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, he is from North Dakota, so I mean that's probably
it doesn't look good.
that's the way they wear it there.
Yes.
Do we have any FFPC players?
It's like
from
you're trying
North
to
Dakota?
accent if Andy Dalton had. I mean, if Andy Dalton had like dark brown, he's got the red hair. If he had a brown like mustache beard, hey, do the opposite. That's
You know who I
right.
think? You know who I think he'd look like if he did? Prince Harry.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton and Prince Harry separated at birth.
So I think like Prince Harry looks all right. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
Anyway.
He is definitely the better looking prince. I'll tell you that.
Hey.
No question.
For sure.
They're doing the
out of all the princes.
No, out of Prince Harry and Prince William. They're doing the thing. I don't know what channel it was on. In fact, I think it aired tonight. It's some sort of miniseries where they're talking about the death of their mother or whatever, and it's the first time they've spoken publicly about this, okay. Princess Diana. So, compelling stuff, Dave. I can't believe anybody listened to the show tonight.
Oddly enough, I heard Princess Diana was driving the car. I didn't even know that.
I never.
I heard she was driving the car and didn't have her seatbelt on, and that her bodyguard.
Is this some sort of PSA for seatbelts right now?
Ella was telling me tonight. Actually, I don't know how that came up after dinner.
Right. I never thought about it. I just assumed she was the princess, so I figured somebody else was driving.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, why the hell would the?
But hold on. Here's the other thing I found out, that at the time she and Prince Charles were already separated and they were dating other people.
Yeah, I heard
like
that.
She was with her boyfriend, and he was off with his girlfriend. So do you still get the same security detail when because she married into it?
Right? There was a bodyguard.
Well, yeah, I mean one bodyguard. I mean normally if you're part of the royal family, you have like 15 of them around you.
Well, there's Brig. It's not that,
Okay, so like 10, whatever.
It was the paparazzi was still running her, following her up.
Yeah. Did they cause the crash, or how did
that was always one of the
rumors? We should have skipped the show and watched this special tonight. We all could have learned about it. Well, okay.
I think they might have.
Listen, I DVR'd it. I got to get home and watch this. I want to thank Larry Weinhauer as I wrap up the show. Yeah, exactly. I want to thank Larry Weinhauer, the FFPC, Dave Gerzak, Rob Bryson, and of course, each and every one of you. We will be back live next week at 10/9 Central for a championship week preview. Mike Foresta is on the High Stakes Lowdown. Give that a listen. rotoviz.com/podcast. I promise you that you will not be disappointed with the content. He brought it. Good luck in the second leg of the championship round. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it for the fantasy regular season. We have week 15, week 16, and then it's all about the playoff challenge. I would encourage you to go register for the world famous playoff challenge, myffpc.com. That is going to fill up before you know it. $100,000 extra going to the grand prize winner. $150,000 extra in prize pool. Pays down to 600 plays. How can you go wrong? Thanks for listening, everybody. Your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
The one player I did not reveal in we always have 4 players in the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Trophy show.
Please tell me.
Already did the House of Flooring bust. Already did the Papa Murray's pickup. Already did the Schmitty Stick and Sleeper. Your Gusman go-to stud this week, Dave? He is a quarterback. He is playing on Monday Night Football, and he is hosting. He is on the road at Carolina. Lock it up. Drew Brees is going to be a mammoth start this week.
Your go-to player.
My Gusman go-to stud.
Honda.
Gusman Honda. If you're looking for a Honda, get on over to Gusman.
You got to go to Gusman.
Got to go to Gusman, and they are located off. I should know which exit. It's right off 41, the Kakana exit. The Kakana exit. That's where you get on over there. No commission sales staff. They have no pressure. Just go on in. Everybody I know.
I'm sure all of our downloaders will.
Everybody I own.
If you're flying in, it's the Appleton Airport.
Everybody I know owns a Honda Pilot, and they all got it from Gusman. Get on over to Gusman. Gotta go to Gusman. Good luck in Week 15.